Parents, your support means everything to your athletes and to us at Varsity Media. To help us continue bringing you the best YouTube coverage of high school sports on Long Island, we invite business owners to consider a sponsorship on our broadcasts. If you own a business, consider a sponsorship for your athlete's team. It's a great way to show support, gain visibility, and keep the coverage going strong. Join us in making a difference. Contact Varsity Media today to learn more about broadcast sponsorship opportunities by emailing ben@varsitymedia.net.
From Cold Spring Harbor, it is a border war as Syosset makes a short trip down Jericho Turnpike to take on the Seahawks of Cold Spring Harbor. It's an anticipated showdown every year, and this afternoon it is live here on the Varsity Media Sports Network. Today's game is brought to you by J&R Custom Landscaping. Design, build, and maintain your dream home. J&R Custom Landscaping has been proudly offering landscape design for over 30 years. Give them a call today. Well, a pleasant good afternoon, everyone. Dylan Butler alongside former Hofstra great and Port Washington head coach Isaac Neal, who's making a transition today into the booth. And Isaac, you know it better than most, right? Coming to Cold Spring Harbor, it's an electric atmosphere. It's one of the best venues on Long Island to play the game of lacrosse. And when you mix up a game where you also have two teams that know each other well, who play one-goal games, 4 out of the last 5 were decided by 1 goal, that all sets up to be a tasty matchup here this afternoon.
100%. It's a playoff game in April, right? One of these at the Power Conference gives us an opportunity to check out, but then also these two teams have played each other for a long time, like you had just mentioned, and it's a great barometer for these teams, early on in April. Yeah,
27th all-time meeting between Syosset and Cold Spring Harbor. 9 of those games decided by 1 goal, including last year's, which was a walk-off by Ryan McGloin. But first we start with Syosset, right? They're a team that they're trying to find their way, 2-2 on the year. They're coming off a big win over Plain Edge, 18-9. But listen, when you lose the alpha, and there has not been an alpha, John Calabria said, in all his years of coaching, like a David Desquie, it's going to take some time to get your bearings and to figure out who the main guys are offensively and how to kind of work without that security blanket that Desquie was.
100%. I mean, I would definitely argue with Coach Calabria to the degree of, having coached against the Mac O'Keefes and Alex Concannons of the world, Accardo. But at the same time, he's somebody who very much values making sure that every single person on his team is able to contribute, able to compete. And I'm really looking forward to seeing what this younger staff is able to put together with the guys that they have on the team today.
Yeah, Desquie, not here, graduated last year, was the 22nd All-American all-time at Syosset, doing a post-grad year at Loomis Chaffee before he heads to Johns Hopkins. So he's gone, but 2 guys that certainly Syosset's going to rely on today. Brody Waxer, a guy we've talked about since the 8th grade, right? If Desquie was the guy getting the main pole, getting the slide early, that's now what Waxer's dealing with. On the other side, one of my favorite quotes from any coach on Long Island, John Calabria calls Will Cawley an axe murderer. He is still that this year, but he's playing under control.
He very much is. He's one of those guys, and you and I talked about it, that you have to plan for as an offensive coach, right? Looking in, where is he? Where are we putting him? Is he sliding? Is he guarding that guy? Are you putting that guy in an opportunity to set picks and have him double? So he's definitely someone you have to look out for all over the field. And then same for Waxer, right? As an 8th grader, he's someone we had to plan for in the county championship game. Definitely is able to, pop off at any time, score goals at any time, and also share the ball with his teammates at any time.
And both those guys also, Isaac, have their college commitments in hand. Waxer committing to Michigan, and then Cawley heading to Lehigh. So those are your two impact players for Syosset. Let's take a look at Cold Spring Harbor now. 3-1 on the young season. Their only loss to a really good Horace Greeley team out of Westchester County. When we saw them a week ago, a signature win at Manhasset, another great place to play. Certainly a good win for Cold Spring Harbor. And they're a team, again, listen, every year they have the championship aspirations. They know what it's like to play into June and to win in June as well. This year, those aspirations are the same.
They do. You know, Coach Bond's always been a guy, great mentor, somebody who puts a lot of emphasis on the preparation, right? Like we talked about earlier, if this game wasn't scheduled due to the Power Conference, they'd be playing anyway, because he definitely believes in that growth aspect of his team. And like you said, you know, being able to march long into June.
Cold Spring Harbor coming off a 12-5 win at Calhoun. In that game, Roy Testa had 3 and 3. One of our players to watch certainly here this afternoon. The younger of the two Testas up front. It's the law firm of Kevin Burns, Roger Testa, and Roy Testa on attack. But Roy Testa, another guy similar to Brody Waxer, right? Came up as a very young buck. And you see the numbers on the year as well, doing really well in his sophomore year. And Hunter Ulico, he literally is that hunter in the back line. It's going to be fun to see how he matches up with some of these Syosset guys.
100%. I mean, Cold Spring Harbor always puts out, you know, very good goalkeeping. They have a lineage of defensemen going all the way back, you know, past even when I moved to New York. It's something that they put a lot of pride into, and Coach Bond definitely prides himself on being that defensive-minded head coach.
So those are the impact players for both teams. Let's meet the starters now. First for Syosset. While you lose at this squee, the plus in this, Isaac, is you do return your entire starting attack. So joining Waxer, Accardo, and the lefty, Ryan Rosenfeld. And a guy in Nick Turner as well. He's another guy, right? Multiple-year starter. He's committed to Geneseo. He's a senior, a guy that Calabria thinks could really have a breakout season.
Yeah, you know, Nick Turner, his older brother, did a really good job for Syosset. You know, did a very good job in college. So he definitely knows how to put his best foot forward in terms of his preparation. But like you had talked about, you know, this starting attack, they were privileged to have the ball a lot last year, privileged to play with some really good players. So there's some guys who are looking just to find their way throughout the course of this season. And again, they want to make an impact in Conference A as well.
Joining Turner, Chung, and Antonacci, your long stick midi, a really good one in Evan Ostrager. The ball's on the carpet. He's going, and he's got a green light to go to cage. He scored some big goals on the back line. And joining Cauley, Jeremy Mallon, Cole Casanova. And in the cage, it's Josh Weisenfeld, a guy who a year ago had transferred in from Jericho, who's trying to find his way, get used to the speed of Class A lacrosse in Nassau County. He's done that, and he's really come out to start his junior year on fire. He
really has. You know, great family, the Weisenfelds. You know, Josh is somebody who puts a lot of pride into his preparation, his training, his ability to lead from the back way out, you know, starting in the goal. So he's somebody who has a tremendous amount of confidence. You know, Coach Levine at LIU Post is very, very high on, and he's somebody who's going to, you know, get the best out of each one of his defensemen each game.
Yeah, Calabria thinks, sorry, Isaac, yeah, Calabria thinks he's already on that all-county kind of trajectory in his junior year. So those are the starters for Syosset. Let's meet the starters now for Cold Spring Harbor. On their attack line, we're going to see a lot of moving parts here, right? So we could see Alex Bauer coming out of the box. You can see Kevin Burns back at midfield, but we mentioned before, Burns, Testa, and Testa. Your first midfield of McKean, Bauer, and Sammy Bruno. Unfortunately, he is the last of the Brunos to come through, and they all bring that same grit and intensity every game. So he will certainly be one that is missed. Your long stick midi, a really good one too, and Cole Newman. And then on the back line, we mentioned before, Ulico, Hajinaris, and Romano. And in the cage, Matty Kamer. What the start of a year he has had. Was a monster against Manhasset. We expect the same here this afternoon.
Yeah, you know, he's a guy that Coach Bond's very high on. You know, he has a lot of confidence in him when it comes to clearing, a lot of confidence in terms of, you know, speaking with some of these senior defensemen that Cold Spring Harbor puts out. But at the end of the day, you know, he's someone wwho steps into that leadership role and really is able to take charge. Again, a defensive-minded coach is going to make sure he has his goalies ready.
You don't drop the name like Adam Gittleman around here like too lightly, and that is certainly what he said Kamer is possible of. As you see the head coaches, there's Dennis Bond, the Cold Spring Harbor head coach. Year number 26 for him, 358 career wins. For Dennis, his assistant coaches Christian Lynch, Paul McDermott, as well. Great coaching staff here at Cold Spring Harbor. Bond joked maybe the oldest in the country, but a lot of wins under their belts. And there you see the head coach at Syosset, John Calabria, 26th season as well, and he's on his way. He's approaching that 300 win mark, 281 in his career. A guy who played for Rick Mercurio as well, and assistant coaches for him, Tom Finnegan. DC is Joe Taglia, and there's a new offensive coordinator in John Austin. We'll have the starting of the game as well as the keys when we return here on the Varsity Media Sports Network.
Parents, your support means everything to your athletes and to us at Varsity Media. To help us continue bringing you the best YouTube coverage of high school sports on Long Island, we invite business owners to consider a sponsorship on our broadcasts. If you own a business, consider a sponsorship for your athlete's team. It's a great way to show support, gain visibility, and keep the coverage going strong. Join us in making a difference. Contact Varsity Media today to learn more about broadcast sponsorship opportunities by emailing ben@varsitymedia.net. Hey parents, Varsity Media is now offering ISO video of just your athlete. Why settle for the wide angle that shows every player on the field? With our ISO video, your athlete is front and center the entire game. This footage will help in creating highlight videos for college coaches to better pinpoint your athlete's play on the field. Watching our video will help your athlete improve progressively throughout the season and may lead to a college scholarship. Varsity Media is now booking ISO videos for the spring, but spots are limited. Contact us today for lacrosse, baseball, softball, and tennis by calling 516-403-2050 or emailing ben@varsitymedia.net.
High school sports fans, Varsity Media is the exclusive live stream partner of Nassau County Championships. To live stream fall, winter, and spring championship events, head to varsitymediapass.com to order. Now accessible on smart TVs. Varsity Media is your home for the Nassau County Championships. For the latest news in high school sports, be sure to check out varsitymedia.net or follow us on social media at Varsity Media.
Back here at Cold Spring Harbor, Dylan Butler, Isaac Neal, our entire Varsity Media crew here at Syosset and Cold Spring Harbor. And you can see the intensity that Calabria brings. It certainly translates to his guys on the field. And as we said at the Open, Isaac, this is a matchup that perennially is a one-goal game. We take a look at the last three meetings between these two teams. You see it there, right? A year ago here, a walk-off at the buzzer. 10-9 for Cold Spring Harbor. It was Syosset, the other side of it in 2023. 2022, a little bit of you almost say lopsided considering how many close games. A 4-goal win for Cold Spring Harbor, but 4 out of the last 5. You go back the year before that, an overtime win for Cold Spring Harbor. Cold Spring Harbor won in 2019, 10-9. They've got a 16-10 edge all time in this series, but again, 9 of those games decided by a single goal.
100%. I mean, it's one of those games where if we're here to see a lot of offense, it's not that guys are incapable of doing it. It's that these defensive-minded coaches are so locked in, you know, not only in the preparative piece, but also in making sure that they don't let certain guys go off and have a big day.
So final huddle there for Cold Spring Harbor before the Seahawks make their way out to midfield again. They are 3-1 on the season. Syosset 2-2. Isaac, let's take a look at the keys as we spoke with both head coaches ahead of this one.
Yeah, you know, in speaking with John Calabria, when you look at it, you know, he's really looking to get his offensive firepower going. You know, it's really important for them to make sure they can go deep into their bench, make that long run in Conference A. You know, they definitely want to make sure defensively, like I had talked about and you had mentioned as well, you know, with guys subbing in and on and off, some playing offense or in terms of attack, some coming out and through the box. You want to make sure you get matched up defensively. And then it's big, you know, working in new face-off guys, going up against Cold Spring Harbor's face-off guys is very important. And then talking about Cold Spring Harbor faceoffs, right? Coach Bond is key. He wants to make sure they're 60% or above. They want to have possessions, extend possessions, and limit some of the mileage, some of their offensive guys. You know, and then when we talk about controlling Brody Waxer, looking at Accardo and Turner, you want to really make sure that you can hold those guys to, 1 and 2 points. And then lastly, that energy is going to be there, right? Syosset lost this game last year on a buzzer beater. They're going to come out firing today. We're all sure of that.
And now at the opening face-off, let's meet those two combatants. It's Aiden Cleary returning for Syosset, healthy this year as well, and Alex Vitale. What a start he's had as the Fogo. It's been a few years since you've had that at Cold Spring Harbor. Usually it's a guy about half his size who stays on and plays midfield, but Vitale, just a beast. He is that Fogo, and some great numbers early on for him as well.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, it's definitely going to allow them to hopefully maintain a little bit of possession, but at the end of the day, that lineage of defensemen that you talk about might play into, those 50-50 ground balls or the 50-50 at the face-off. And like I said, teams trying to settle in offensively, it's really going to be important for them to maintain control of the ball starting at the face-off dot.
And as is always the case, wing play could become crucial as well. A little bit of a stalemate for this opening face-off, and now the wings do get involved. Picked up by Cauley, and it's Syosset on attack.
Yeah, I mean, hey, Ostringer's a great pole. You put Cauley out there, kind of set the tone a little bit. Able to ride it back, though.
But just as quick, we go the other way, which Hadjanaris taking it away.
Yeah, and you look at Syosset's ride right now. They drop back quick, but they still have their guys out on the field looking to get matched up.
So McKean gets the clear, going to Stony Brook, likely as a short stick D-midi. So already, right, showing what he can show there on the next level. A really good athlete. Like so many of these guys, Isaac, multiple sport athletes as well.
Yeah, I mean, they know how to compete, right? Playing multiple sports. A lot of guys might want to focus on one, but having that opportunity to compete. But I'm really curious to see how each of these teams maintains their possessions, including the shot clock. We see a shot early. They're looking to play in that first 30 seconds of the shot clock.
Yeah, Bruno got the slide. Bauer unleashed. That shot was wide. So we start from X. Swim move by Burns. Burns, question mark, just wide.
Yeah, you see Syosset come out in the man-to-man defense. Coach Calabria talked about that switch up between man and zone. Who's guarding whom. You see his guys go to pick the ball up on the end line. Who's sending out or who's going out to stop ball.
That's Roy Testa now on the ball. Testa tries to get top side. Testa, bouncer, and that's also off the mark.
Yeah, those last two dodges, I see a lot of trust in that Syosset defense. No slide, really staying in guys' hands, doing a good job on ball.
Now it's Burns bringing the power, loses the ball. GB picked up, at least momentarily, and we will go the other way for Syosset. And now, as we often see, right, it's the ride for Cold Spring Harbor. Manhasset struggled against that ride for a good portion of that game. That's a good clear for Syosset.
Clear for James Romanello.
But then in and out of the stick. And then Bruno goes back to Kamer.
Yeah, it's one of those things like I keep talking about, looking at how teams are going to use the shot clock. There's opportunities where you can just go and other ones where you're going to want to settle in.
Here's Rex O'Connor, part of that second midfield unit for Cold Spring Harbor. So good clear for Cold Spring Harbor. Testa gets the offense started. Now, as we said, right, those moving parts, it's now Burns coming out of the box. So he'll play with the second midfield of O'Connor and Riley. You also see a little bit of Cohensberger at times as well.
It's important on a day like this to keep guys going. As one pass goes wide, they definitely want to make sure guys are getting their touches, they're staying warm. You're going to need some of that offensive production, especially in this history of one-goal games.
I'm going to bail out that turnover. Incredibly windy this afternoon. Certainly they're putting the cold in Cold Spring Harbor this afternoon. So that could certainly play a factor, right? And there's the ride we mentioned before. And here comes Testa.
It's definitely tough early on in the season, figuring out some of these clearing parts. What do coaches see on film? How are they going to ride to extend possessions and keep the ball on the offensive end? You know, you talk about 60% at the faceoff X, but when you're able to ride 1 or 2 back a game, that's almost like winning a faceoff, right? Stolen possessions, it gives your offense a little bit more juice.
Yeah, you want possessions by any means necessary, and certainly the ride, and that's something that has been synonymous with Dennis Bond through his years. Vitally important. Bouncer, wide of the mark. Good backup, though. Second opportunity, little hitch, the fire, and the finish. Terrific goal by Roger Testa, and Cold Spring Harbor has a 1-0 lead.
You know, that is phenomenal ball movement on the missed shot. You know, shot goes wide. They're ready on the backup anyway. Ball's moved quickly. Very unselfish play by the Cold Spring Harbor offense.
Roger Testa, what a great story he's been early portion of the year. 9th goal of the year. He's a guy, Isaac, who's been on the varsity for 4 years, but he's been banged up for 3 of those. So you feel for a senior who's got that opportunity this year to really have an impact, and he's come out flying. Flag off of that face-off win for Syosset. And we'll see what the officials have here.
Yeah, it's probably going to be a hit to the head. Guy's playing fast.
Another look. This will be a 1-minute cross-check. So our first look at the Syosset man up. Cold Spring Harbor man down this year. 81%. They have killed 13 of the 16 penalties they've gotten so far this year.
I mean, that's a very senior-laden defense right there. But at the same time, I mean, we had talked about it, you know, the Syosset offense has an opportunity now to kind of get everybody a touch, start to settle in a little bit, and look to steal one without having to face off.
There's Josh Chung up top. They'll work it. High shot saved by Kamer, almost goes back into his own net. The ride back, that's Accardo taking it away.
Still man up, moving the ball a little bit, simple passes.
Waxer is 19, the feed inside, and Turner buries the man up goal.
Started with that ride back. You know, great save on the doorstep. Accardo's able to scoop one up, get the ball moving simple. It's a great finish inside by Turner.
And a great look, too, by Waxer. Another look. Listen, you have an extra man. There's going to be some room to maneuver. Waxer found it to Turner, and the Geneseo commit buries his 7th goal of the year. Waxer with assist number 7.
When you look to see it, both goals so far have been scored off of a ride back. You know, I know these are two coaches that value their ability to clear. So look to settle these guys in a little bit and make it a more up and down game versus back and forth.
And a clean face-off win by Cleary. 3 for 3 early on for Syosset. Here comes Cleary. Goes to goal, shoots it wide of Kamer.
That was a great take. You know, just to handle that pressure. Cold Spring Harbor poles are coming out. They're beating on your hands. Get your legs warm a little bit and go try to have a day. Have one.
So an opportunity to bring in some new blood. It's the second midfield unit. Cole Beekman, Joe Sauerbacher checks in for Syosset.
When you and I talked about it at the beginning of the game, you know, this power conference, the amount of games people are playing in a week, you definitely have to get your depth a little bit of experience and have a little bit of experience on both sides of the ball.
That's Matt Azevedo, takes the shot from Bauer. That's the one thing about Bauer, right? He's not stuck here on the defensive side. He's bringing that as well. And there's another one that's aired out by Accardo.
Cold Spring Harbor ball.
Yeah, we're going to see a lot of two-way guys from Cold Spring Harbor. You know, had an opportunity to watch them play football in the fall on multiple occasions. These are guys who are not afraid to put some miles on their cleats throughout the course of the day.
And I love it, too, from Bond. Whether it's any of these guys or it's a guy like Ian Laviano, if you don't ride, you're not stepping on the field.
Cold Spring Harbor did a very good job against Syosset's 10-man ride, settling the ball in.
Good clear for Cold Spring Harbor. And Testa backs it up to Bruno. Here's Brady McKean. Looking early on, Cawley on the same side as Bauer. That should be a fun matchup.
Yeah, I'm sure we're going to see Cawley all over the field. right? Depending on what midfield is out there, maybe what sets the offense is running. But Cawley's somebody who can play up top. He can play down low. You know, we saw him on the wing on the first face-off of the game. He's definitely ready to play all over the field.
McKean shot blocked by Azevedo. Stays, though, with the Seahawks. 19 on the shot clock. Of course, both teams still getting used to that element of the game.
Yeah, it's something that's definitely different, right? Some kids might feel it a little bit more.
And McKean. Beautiful shot. The feed from Bruno, and Cold Spring Harbor takes the 2-1 lead.
When you see it, you know, I've seen a couple different sets coming out from Cold Spring Harbor. That one was an invert, so it draws a little bit of that defense. And like I talked about, you have someone like Cawley, you might want to try to hide him somewhere on that defense and open up a few of those passing lanes. And so far, Cold Spring Harbor's been able to do it twice.
For McKean, goal number 2 on the season. You mentioned football. How about a linebacker, running back? Basketball guy as well, part of that team that reached county finals. Clear win for Vitale. And now it's Rex O'Connor. Brother Caden started on defense a couple of years ago for Cold Spring Harbor.
Well, this is why, you know, when Coach Bond puts that key to the game about facing off at 60%, you score a goal, you're working to play make it, take it lacrosse right now to a degree. It really gives that defense a little bit of deflate at times, or it might speed up Syosset's offense, but I'm sure they're going to be ready to handle it.
Here's Dylan Riley against Danny Disque, 2 younger brothers going at it. Dylan Riley spins around the cage, fires it wide.
Yeah, Cold Spring Harbor going back to that invert offense, looking to set up certain guys to slide that maybe aren't, you know, as familiar sliding yet, only 4 games in.
Dylan Riley's brother, CJ, running on the second midfield up at Michigan.
When we see it now, Syosset jumped into his zone, so looking to change things up, you know, with the shot clock under 20.
And Burns took a couple of hits. It was worth it. He found Riley in front, and it's now 3-1 for Cold Spring Harbor.
Well, I see it too on that last goal. You know, Dennis Bond, very accomplished coach. He sees, and I'm sure they had that call ready for them to jump in the zone. They're able to call it out quick, and they know exactly what they're doing and not have to take too much time off the clock.
So Riley, goal number 5 on the year. Go back to the face-off X. Cleary won the first 3. Vitale won the last.
It's a long game. Guys are scoring goals. They're going to start to figure each other out. It becomes that, you know, chess match at the face-off X.
And this a clean win for Cleary.
So that's a new rule. You know, you hear down all the way up from the box telling Cleary to make sure he gets a touch in. You know, with the shot clock, guys have 10 seconds to get it back in the box. It's like playing back in 04, 05, 06.
Here's Gio Accardo. Another younger brother, right? Luca at High Point, Nick at Stevens Tech.
Yeah, there's 3 boys in that family. All of them are tough.
And Accardo's a guy, he brings the flash. The other guys bring the lunch pail, but probably the best hands on this team are for Gio Accardo. Here's Turner, tries to lower the shoulder. That's not easy against McKean.
He's going to handle it. You know, again, Syosset's looking to settle in. They haven't had the ball in a couple of minutes, but this is an offense that has firepower. They're going to score goals not just on man up.
Matt Antonacci, good-looking sophomore. Turner, now to Rosenfeld, and Kamer, another save.
It's a great take. Syosset's back out in that 10-man ride, looking to speed Cold Spring Harbor up a little bit. It's hard to practice against, but it's one of those things we got to see how Cold Spring Harbor handles it throughout the day.
And Isaac, I was going to say, they see this every day when it's the offensive guys, right?
It looks a little bit different
different.
in practice, though, than, you know, when you're going live once the lights turn on.
We're going quick for Cold Spring Harbor. That shot by Daniel Toohey.
Well, that's what we're talking about, right? Does Cold Spring Harbor take that opportunity to settle, or the 10-man ride makes the shot look open that might not be open in a 6-on-6 set?
Become the other way. It's Turner.
I mean, Syosset's gotten a couple of really good looks so far. You know, we anticipated Cold Spring Harbor's goalkeeping and defense playing strong, but Syosset's going to keep trying to leverage some of the looks that they're getting offensively.
Here's Rosenfeld, the lefty. Pops it up top to Chung, to Turner. Turner going on Newman. Gets a step. Turner. Nothing there. Little hitch. And now a feed. Quick feed. The fire and the bouncer is in. Gio Accardo.
That is phenomenal ball movement. You know, working with a lot of young players when they're participating in lacrosse, you really want them to carry the ball deep. You see Turner carry the ball all the way down the alley, gets the defense to move, frees up Accardo's hands.
Isaac, see how far back Accardo brought that stick?
Yeah, he leaned all the way back. Great change of level, right? Didn't hit the goalie, made him have to make a save, and in this case, we're facing off again. It's a great shot by 11.
Accardo's 8th goal of the year. They both left the ball. And there's Cawley. Will Cawley. He's another guy who's got the green light. Cawley! Off the bar.
Yeah, he stepped into that one. And again, like you see Syosset using different poles on the wings, making sure they're not burning these guys out throughout the game. But John Calabria wants his kids to play fast and play with confidence. That was a fast, confident shot by Cawley.
It's a howitzer. His shot was about as hard as he hits. As is now Waxer out at midfield. Waxer gets a step. Nice feed, but right into the stick. Kamer, no problem on that one. The clear, though, was an issue. Flag down. Here comes Waxer on a free possession. He'll bring it to X.
Slow it down a little bit. They've got the flag down. Try to work for the best shot. It's going to be curious, too. We hadn't really talked about it, but how are the refs going to call this game? Right? Are they going to allow these guys to play a little bit? Are they going to try to rein them in and make sure that emotions don't take over and we can just watch some good lacrosse?
Here's Waxer. Spins, GLE, dives in front. Is it a goal or no? They're saying no. It's a crease violation on Waxer.
You know, unpopular opinion, make the high school game more like college, right? Give Waxer that opportunity to either take that push or dive across and stay out of the goal mouth. It's a big, strong move from the kid going to Michigan.
So we'll take a look at the call on the penalty.
Cold Spring Harbor penalty on number 24.
So 1 minute
for an illegal body check.
For the illegal body check. So second man up opportunity. Syosset 1 for 1.
Well, and part of that chess match, too, you know, you see John Calabria talking to the officials, is really trying to figure out what they are going to call, trying to figure out, making sure that we can maintain possession throughout a game, anticipate some of these man-down and man-up opportunities as the game goes on. They matter in one-goal games. They definitely do.
So another look now at Syosset's man-up. It's Turner.
So you got Cold Spring Harbor locking off Waxer right now, so trying to give them a different look, maybe something that they're not as prepared for.
There will be some room for somebody then outside of Waxer, and then Waxer just going to take McKean in front. Smart play by Waxer, trying to take away Kamer's eyes a little bit.
Yeah, it's definitely something that Coach Calabria is prepared for, that they understand. And again, playing with the shot clock and a 1 minute penalty, you have plenty of time. Figure it out, move the ball, work for the best shot.
Turner up top. Losing it momentarily, there was Accardo. Now it's a scrum for the ball. Rosenfeld picks it up. Big ground ball for Syosset. 7 on the penalty. That one knocked down by Newman.
First shot clock violation of the day. Cold Spring Harbor did a good job just making themselves big and long, you know, in and around the crease as Syosset looks to share the ball.
So good job defensively by Cold Spring Harbor. They get the shot clock violation. They get the penalty kill as well. And now they were hoping to get the clear, but the time ran out in the first quarter. Terrific start. Lo and behold, it's a 1-goal game. Shocker, right? How about Dylan Riley? He's like, I see you, CJ. I could do that as well. Scores in the tough area. And it is Cold Spring Harbor with a 3-2 lead. You're watching it all right here on the Varsity Media Sports Network.
This is Jalen Brunson. You're watching Varsity Media.
Parents, your support means everything to your athletes and to us at Varsity Media. To help us continue bringing you the best YouTube coverage of high school sports on Long Island, we invite business owners to consider a sponsorship on our broadcasts. If you own a business, consider a sponsorship for your athlete's team. It's a great way to show support, gain visibility, and keep the coverage going strong. Join us in making a difference. Contact Varsity Media today to learn more about broadcast sponsorship opportunities by emailing ben@varsitymedia.net.
High school sports fans, Varsity Media is the exclusive live stream partner of Nassau County Championships. To live stream fall, winter, and spring championship events, head to varsitymediapass.com to order. Now accessible on smart TVs. Varsity Media is your home for the Nassau County Championships.
Back here at Cold Spring Harbor, Dylan Butler, Isaac Neal, our entire Varsity Media crew here. Really good first quarter. A one-goal game again. It is Cold Spring Harbor with that lead as we head to quarter number 2. The face-off war to this point is advantage Syosset. The visitors winning 4 out of the 5 first quarter face-offs.
Yeah, you know, how both teams decide to use their wings during this game is going to be very important, especially as goals are continuing to be scored. Very curious to see what and if any adjustments are made by both coaches on the wing play.
Two of those, the two head coaches, really good friends as well. Vitale gets the win. There's that take a step in that you were mentioning. Now he'll step off for McKean as Bruno has it. Bauer coming out of the box as well.
Yeah, it's a different rule, but you know what? It really helps settle the offense. Guys getting that touch in the box. It honestly puts guys that are going to get off the field a little bit closer, right? As I see he's coming off, just holding that arm a little bit.
Yeah, so we'll keep an eye on that for Vitale. Of course, both teams have secondary players who can face it off, and both are field guys as well. So we'll see how that plays a factor. One of those is right here, number 50, Bruno.
Yeah, Syosset does a good job sliding, recovering. Again, it might mess with their matchups, but it's a team that prides themselves on being able to push out on the ball and look to create a little bit more from a defensive standpoint.
Got a flag down. You can see it over there at the 10-yard line on the far side. Looks like it'll be a Syosset penalty. Jesse Bockstein coming off the field. Let's see. We've got a 30-second holds and then a 1-minute slash. So 6-on-4 lacrosse here for Cold Spring Harbor.
It's funny, I didn't see the first flag come out. I was curious why the whistle was blowing. See both come out, refs doing a good job of just stopping the game. You know, Coach Calabria doing a good job of talking to his guys in the box, understanding that penalties are going to happen, and we just got to weather that storm. Hunker down, play some D right now.
Yeah, so it'll be 6-on-4 for 30 seconds.
On the extra man for 60. Okay. 36 is the hold. 36 is the hold. 42 is the slashing.
So 2 different penalties, so as we had talked about it. You know, Vitale coming off, kind of holding his arm. He had his hand on his back, trying to win that ball back. Face-offs are going to be very important in this game.
Yeah, so Cleary gets the hold, and then Bockstein gets the slash. So we have it all figured out. Here we go, 6-on-4 for Cold Spring Harbor. A lot of room to maneuver. Let's see maybe who makes that cut right inside the box. Right now it's just all perimeter.
Yeah, get everybody a touch. You know, try to draw that defense out a little bit. Try to get the best shot on a very good goalie.
Probably want to do it opposite 33 side. Bauer, there's the feed in front, low to high shot was wide by Roy Testa.
Yeah, and you said it, right? Cawley standing right there in Testa's face. It definitely alters that shot.
Here's Bauer up top. The feed, and you've got to be clean because there comes Cawley. Excuse me, that's 2-3. Jeremy Mallon. So 1 penalty is killed. Cawley And a timeout was called as Cawley picked up the GB on that near side.
John Calabria doing a really good job just playing through that possession, making sure that as soon as Cawley picked that ball up, he got the timeout called. He could set up their clear. We still got about 16 left in the penalty, so it's going to give them an opportunity to clear against a very good Cold Spring Harbor riding team.
Design, build, and maintain your dream home. J&R Custom Landscaping has been proudly offering landscape design for over 30 years. Give them a call today. You see their number there, 516-250-8461. And these two teams on the lacrosse landscape, certainly no strangers to success. Last time we saw Syosset, what a game they played against Massapequa, right, at Hofstra a year ago. It was Massapequa that rallied, winning that game in the semifinals. Cold Spring Harbor, of course, winning not only the county, the Long Island championship, but yet another state championship as well. Their 7th overall and their 3rd consecutive in Class D. And there you see it. All right, put the banner up for the boys.
Yeah, these are teams that definitely understand what it takes, to get deep into May and even into June. Both coaches have been through it for many years, and they've been very good stewards to young coaches trying to do the same.
All right, so over there, trust me, is Will Cawley. Tough place to start your offense. Goes to Weisenfeld. Chased by Bauer. Weisenfeld looking for options. Tries to get it to Cawley. He used every bit of that long pole. Poked away, though. Cawley picks it up and just airmails it up the field.
Yeah, that was a great check over there by Tui. He was able to catch it on Crawley. He didn't bite on that face dodge. Cold Spring Harbor's coming back down the other way. And in a game where right now, the face-off is leaning in Cold Spring Harbor's way, you have to value those clears.
So Syosset does the job. They killed off both penalties. We're even. But it's Cold Spring Harbor with the ball. Dylan Riley, one of the goal scorers this afternoon for the Seahawks. Kevin Burns out of the box.
You see a lot of these guys playing both ways. Turner right now on the field looking to lock in defensively for Syosset. Really, he'll definitely be somebody who'll be able to help out in the clear a little bit.
A laser by Burns. Weisenfeld to save.
Yeah, he was ready. He was sitting on that high to high all the way. But again, another turnover in the clear.
Here comes Bruno. Bauer. And they'll work it to X, and Bauer will operate from there.
Cold Spring Harbor back in that invert offense, daring Syosset to slide, looking for a little bit of ball movement. Those guys cutting down through the middle like before.
And the slide did come. Patience from Cold Spring Harbor. Here's Bruno working on Cawley.
Yeah, that's not an easy task.
And then Mallon knocked him down. Flag again. So let's see if this be a push from behind, as Jeremy Mallon will go into the box.
Both teams doing a very good job of dodging deep. That slide comes, really looking to maybe draw a penalty or two. So far, Cold Spring Harbor's been able to do so. Now, at least Syosset has an opportunity to run that 5-man down.
So it'll be a 1-minute trip. 3rd man up opportunity for Cold Spring Harbor. 0 for 2 today on the season heading into this one, Isaac. 36%, 4 of 11.
Yeah, that's one of those things that kind of comes as the season goes, right? You're still trying to figure out who your trigger guys are going to be, what plays are going to work, and you see right there, Syosset was ready for it. Cold Spring Harbor still trying to put out maybe a new type of man up that's going to allow them to get some points.
And there's Cawley again having a huge impact on this game.
You look down in the box after that penalty. Coach Calabria is doing a great job of coaching his defensemen, understanding that penalties are going to happen when guys are playing hard.
Jesse Romanello, a great clear for the freshman short stick D midi. Hunter Ulico brings it the other way.
Look, that's one of those opportunities. He drops it. You tell him to get the next one. He scores it. You're really excited. You got to let those kids play when they're out there playing that fast-paced offense.
So now Bauer up top.
I'd be curious what the time of possession is for Cold Spring Harbor. Syosset's playing a lot of defense.
Well, you're not keeping that stat?
keeping it in my head.
Shot wide by Riley.
Now you see Waxer coming down to play a little bit of defense, doing something similar to what Cold Spring Harbor will do, put a little mileage on those cleats. But Syosset, having a tough time clearing, they want to get their guys out on defense, allow them to slide, and allow them to secure a couple more offensive possessions in this half.
Now Bauer up top. Swim to his left. Bauer lowers his shoulder. Bauer fires and scores! Power lacrosse by Bauer.
It's another deep dodge. You'll see the guys calling the NCAA games, giving kids tips. I'm saying it to kids all the time. Carry the ball as deep as you can. If you got a shot, let one go. Make them have to respect you. And not that Bauer hasn't already deserved or isn't deserving of that respect already.
He started, Isaac, with the swim move, and then he brought the power, right? Lowered the shoulder, and then another rocket of a goal for Alex Bauer, his 7th of the season.
That's a big juice goal for Cold Spring Harbor. They've had a couple of man-ups that Syosset's been able to kill, a couple good shots, a couple great saves by Weisenfeld, a couple great ride backs. So to bury that one, I know definitely feels good.
So Cleary gets his 5th face-off win. Now, it feels like a while since we've seen Syosset in a settled offensive set.
The penalties will do that. Now you got to do now Coach Calabria has to do a good job of settling these guys in. They talked about, and Coach Calabria and I had that conversation about it, first-year offensive coordinator in John Austin, someone who went to Delaware, played for the Lizards. He's definitely going to stress that time of possession, making sure that guys are getting touches, settle down. There's no two-pointers, and it's still a long game.
And there's also more sharing of the ball, more of an emotion offense. A year ago it was kind of give it to Desquis. He'll get 3 defenders and still score. And this year it's a different look.
Well, and you see it. Sometimes that can help you, and it helped them a lot last year. Sometimes it can hurt. And I think in this situation, you want to make sure every 6 guys that are popped out have an opportunity to score and kind of get into the groove.
7 on the shot clock, an errant pass. And Calabria throws his hat down, not happy with that. Especially not to, I was going to say, Isaac, especially not even getting a shot off, right?
Well, and that's what it is too, right? You want to start to manufacture some offense, make the Cold Spring Harbor defensive halftime adjustments have to exist, right? But at the same time, you also want to make sure that some of these guys are getting the correct touches and an opportunity to keep their sticks out.
So Ulico got it across. Bond calls the timeout. Chance for us to take a look at our upcoming SPORTSCAST schedule. We got the men's game, a little D1 action out of Farmingdale. That'll be a fun one, right? Bryant and Bucknell, noon start for that one. Some Long Island guys representing in that game. Dawson Riley is one that comes to mind. Michael Meyer as well. We'll see him. And then it's the Battle of the Sound, always a fun one. You love to have those annual games on your schedule. Manhasset, it feels like they have a ton of them. This is the latest one as Jeff Braymeyer and his guys come across the Sound to come to Manhasset. And then Syosset and Manhasset as well. They'll do battle. We'll go to the girls' side, Fairport and Cold Spring Harbor. Little baseball action, Kellenberg and Holy Trinity. And we finally make the trip out to South Huntington for what should be a really good game. Spalding coming out of that Maryland area against the Friars of St. Anthony's. All those games right here on the Varsity Media YouTube channel.
Yeah, shout out to Coach Holmeyer and the Friars. They're having a great season so far. I know they're playing right now out at Del Barton. It seems like they never get an opportunity to play at home. So I'm sure he'll be happy to stay home and let the guys get a little homecoming game.
Yeah, we're excited to see him too at home. And that's a program that, they play that national schedule. So they are, they're going to Malvern Prep. They're going to Culver. They're going all over the place.
They're at Del Barton today. I know they're going to be in Notre Dame. Playing a couple teams from Colorado and California and out west this weekend.
How fun is that, too? It's both them and Chaminade, right? Going out to Notre Dame, a school that has a ton of Chaminade guys there. That's going to be a reunion for the Flyers. But that's going to be a ton of fun, really, for both teams, just getting that experience playing at Arlada, right? One of the best venues in college lacrosse.
Well, it's something I could see, a lot of coaches, including myself, we would have those conversations about playing those big games. Guys like John Danowski talk about, prepping yourself to make those runs when you're playing at Hofstra or playing at Stony Brook. It makes a difference. having some of those trips.
And how smart is that for Notre Dame, right? It's a free, everybody come on, see the campus, check it out. Hey,
100%.
touchdown, Jesus is over there.
They've got to just hope it's not snowing out there when the game goes on this weekend.
Here comes McKean, a little shake and bake.
Yeah, you see a little bit of different defensive set. You know, you have Ostringer pushing out on Bauer, kind of taking him out of it, out of the timeout, making it hard for him to have it. It's going to, you know, just a little wrinkle that Syosset's going to show. Look to get this game back to a one-goal game.
Good ground ball there by Roger Testa. That ball was kind of forced into the teeth of the Syosset defense. Here's Bruno now up top.
Well, you know, both of these coaches will talk about winning the last 5 minutes of a half, right? It's really important. I can think of games where Syosset's going to grind one out. Got to make the stops, though.
And Bruno, the finish, got the short stick matchup and capitalized on it. Sammy Bruno gets the unassisted goal.
That's a great take. You know, square up, run your man down the alley. And at the end of the day, you know, you look at it, while these two teams obviously want to win this game, they want to learn something about themselves in this game too, right? So for Syosset, it's now they're going to learn. Can we play, you know, a couple goals down? Can we get that 50-50 ground ball, maybe to 60-40 or 70-30? It's going to be a good challenge for them.
And now right off of scoring, it's Sammy Bruno taking his first face-off of the day. On the year, 55% for the Stevens commit. Little flip backwards, Cleary the win, gets it to Turner.
Well, you talked about it earlier too, right? Like when we were talking about and looking at Vitale, you know, what's his usability right now? But at the same time, you want to make sure you have plenty of guys that are ready to go. You know, when in the heat of May at Hofstra, or on a cold day like this, you take one on the wrist, take one on the elbow. You want to make sure that we can go deep into our bench in terms of how we're maintaining possessions in the game.
And it's so big too, as another ball in and out of the stick. It has been sloppy for Syosset. But to get a guy like Vitale, that's so critical for a Sammy Bruno, because now you're not getting that wear and tear. You could be fresh as you're running that first midfield unit.
Well, it gives a different look, right? So now as a face-off guy comes out, what are their tendencies, right? Is it someone that I'm prepared for?
And Bruno gets the clear and the foul. So Cold Spring Harbor will have another opportunity man up, 0 for 3 on the game. I think this will be on hold. No, excuse me. They're defending with 7, so that's where it was. And again, miscommunication for Syosset.
It's going to happen sometimes. You know, when you have certain guys maybe staying back to play offense, or you bump a defenseman up that's not a normal LSM, you're going to have those.
Here's Burns.
See, and this is really where I like the shot clock, right? Back in the day, you know, even going back to just last year, 3:20 left. Cold Spring Harbor would be very, very intentional in terms of killing some clock. Coach Bond's known for that, wanting to maintain possession for his guys. You know you're going to get that ball back in a little bit, or at least be able to play man down and reset.
And there's now 3 on the shot clock. So they've got to go. Riley switches it to his left, fires wide. And now they'll have the man-up opportunity. So offside, 32nd. And Syosset has done a good job. While they're struggling on the offensive side of it, they've had to defend a lot. This is, again, the 4th man-down situation, and they've gotten the job done, especially picking up those ground balls. Cawley's been critical. Mallon's been really good there as well.
Yeah, this is an experienced group. You know, starting in net with Weisenfeld, you know you can give up certain shots, right? You know you have a goalie who's going to be able to maintain his poise in the cage. And we also know, like, it's a long game. There's a lot of ebbs and flows, and that big that momentum that can go, you know, with one ground ball or one transition goal.
Roger Testa with the lefty shot wide. You saw quickly Cawley was getting in on him.
Yeah, that's KYP. You know who wants to take that shot. You know where they want to end up with the ball.
Here he is again. That's where Cawley was, up top to Bruno. He gets the pole in Ostrager. Nice look, open shot. What a move! And a great save by Weisenfeld, robbing Testa.
That's exactly what I'm talking about, right? You can give up that look because you know that your goalie is poised in the cage. That's a phenomenal save by Josh.
Could that be a juice moment for Syosset? They kill the penalty, And now they're on offense. Here's Turner.
So, you know, both teams have one timeout left. We're coming up under 2 minutes. Anticipate Syosset kind of using the clock and then looking to just mix it up at the faceoff X if they're able to get a goal here.
They nearly got caught again in the substitution game. As it's Antonacci, the sophomore, coming out of the box now. Double deuce is Chung. Drawing Bauer. Antonacci to Turner now. Turner's got Newman. Goes downhill. The lefty ripped. What a save by Kamer.
Great shot, great save. Sat on that, played it off his hip.
Another look, Isaac. Right off his arm.
Yeah, he knew exactly where it was going, too. He's had that happen a few times, I'm sure. Great save.
So because of the save, you reset. Here's Waxer. He's been quiet in this first half. Waxer spins. Goes to his left. Good knockdown in front. And that was Ulico.
You know, Syosset's offense, though, I'm very proud of their poise. They got into that set, got the ball to their number one guy.
And some confusion here as it was over the called timeout, and Calabria arguing it was called on his side of the field, and the official saying no, it was out towards midfield. And hey, listen, I guess the refs are doing a good job because both head coaches aren't happy with them.
Yeah, they're unhappy about it, but really looking at how they're going into this huddle, right? So from a head coaching standpoint, you want to make sure that you're giving your guys the best information in terms of either the ride or the clear. I'll say they're both right. We'll play it safe.
And we mentioned the history of both of these programs, Isaac. We take a look at Syosset here. 6 county championships, 2 Long Island championships. We mentioned the All-Americans, right? 22 of them, 12 current college players. That doesn't include Desquia, again, post-grad year before he goes to Hopkins. First year of lacrosse there, 1969, 467 all-time wins. And as we flip the page, some ridiculous numbers out of Cold Spring Harbor. They started their lacrosse in 1963. You see 15 Nassau championships, the 7. Listen, when they make the LICs, 1, they're winning it, and 2, bet on them to win the state title because that's what they do. 35 All-Americans for Cold Spring Harbor, and you see the all-time wins as well, 727. Last All-American for Cold Spring Harbor. You mentioned some of those great polls, right? And 2 guys in 2022, Jesse Phelan, Patrick Pisano. You had Danny Striano before that as well, Kevin Winkoff, Ian Laviano, Matt Licciardi. The list goes on for Cold Spring Harbor. So here we go. What do they have set up here for the final minute of the first half? And they're not wasting any time. The bouncer by Riley.
We're definitely looking at how Syosset's defense coming out, right? There looks to be a little bit of confusion in terms of who is guarding who. Sometimes that plays into, what midfield's out on the field, what set they're running.
Bauer from up top draws Ostrager. Fun matchup, that one.
Yeah, we got the shot clock and the game clock on point,
and Bauer
okay, we're going.
Buries it.
Again, I'm very impressed by Bauer's ability just to get downhill, right? He's not rolling back. He's not looking to dance. He's looking just to square up and go, put a little pressure on that Syosset defense.
In a couple of years, he and Brody Waxer will be teammates, maybe roommates out in Ann Arbor. Today, they're on opposite sides, and Bauer gets his second goal, the 4-year starter, 2-time All-County player for Cold Spring Harbor. Might he be the next All-American for the Seahawks?
Maybe. Well, and you look at the lineup of some of the Long Island guys putting up numbers for Michigan. You got Alex Gatto coming out of Roslyn. You have Aiden Mulholland out of Manhasset. So they're definitely coming back east to come and be a Wolverine.
Newman got the ground ball off the face-off win. An opportunity now in the final 30 seconds perhaps for Cold Spring Harbor to extend their lead.
Well, it plays a little fact. That's a great IQ play right there by just throwing the ball into the box, allowing somebody to go get it even though they call time.
Yeah, that was Jeep pace with that kind of ball over the top, trying to find Burns. Now can Syosset go quick? Here is Turner with 16. Offside. flags fly. Turner shoots it wide.
It's a good take by Turner, good miss. You know, I anticipate Syosset holding the ball right here, coming out of the halftime with possession. It'll give their offense a chance to reset and get this back, you know, to a 3-goal game.
So 30 seconds penalty against Cold Spring Harbor. Syosset, it'll be their third man up. They are 1 for 2, but as you said, Waxer just turns around, looks at the clock.
5.8 seconds remaining in the first half. Syosset takes their second.
And that is halftime, as you can see Waxer kind of looked over at the official and said, I'm going to hold it here. And that's exactly what happened to end this first half. So Alex Bauer, he's a guy, Isaac, who has been here, who's played in these games. No surprise, certainly, that he is bringing it here this afternoon.
Yeah, great takes, like I talked about. You know, just his innate ability to get downhill. He's not looking to roll back. He's not looking to dance. That's Big Ten power right there. I love to see it.
Alex Bauer with a pair, and it is Cold Spring Harbor with a 6-2 lead at the half. We'll have some stats and more when we return here on the Varsity Media Sports Network.
Hey parents, Varsity Media is now offering ISO video of just your athlete. Why settle for the wide angle that shows every player on the field? With our ISO video, your athlete is front and center the entire game. This footage will help in creating highlight videos for college coaches to better pinpoint your athlete's play on the field. Watching our video will help your athlete improve progressively throughout the season and may lead to a college scholarship. Varsity Media is now booking ISO videos for the spring, but spots are limited. Contact us today for lacrosse, baseball, softball, and tennis by calling 516-403-2050 or emailing ben@varsitymedia.net.
For the latest news in high school sports, be sure to check out varsitymedia.net or follow us on social media @varsitymedia.
Parents, your support means everything to your athletes and to us at Varsity Media. To help us continue bringing you the best YouTube coverage of high school sports on Long Island, we invite business owners to consider a sponsorship on our broadcasts. If you own a business, consider a sponsorship for your athlete's team. It's a great way to show support, gain visibility, and keep the coverage going strong. Join us in making a difference. Contact Varsity Media today to learn more about broadcast sponsorship opportunities by emailing ben@varsitymedia.net.
This is Jalen Brunson. You're watching Varsity Media.
High school sports fans, Varsity Media is the exclusive live stream partner of Nassau County Championships. To live stream fall, winter, and spring championship events, head to varsitymediapass.com to order. Now accessible on smart TVs. Varsity Media is your home for the Nassau County Championships.
It's time to book a Varsity Media SPORTSCAST and get on the big stage. A Varsity Media SPORTSCAST is seen by thousands of people, both live and on demand, from friends and family all over the world to prospective college coaches. Our announcers will help tell the story of your team and your athletes. There is no bigger stage to be on than Varsity Media. Book a SPORTSCAST today by contacting Varsity Media. When it comes to live streaming, Varsity Media does it all. Athletic events, concerts, musicals, graduations, even weddings. Trust Varsity Media when it comes to your live stream event. Contact us today to learn more about Varsity Media's live streaming services at 516-403-2050 or email ben@varsitymedia.net.
Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel for upcoming schedules and content, and on social media at Varsity Media.
Merrill, he's got room to go. Merrill towards the end zone. Lost his lid. Touchdown!
JJ Damo, face on, stay on athlete. Controlling the face-off. That's 3 in a row now.
For all the latest Varsity Media updates, including our game schedules, be sure to follow us on social media at Varsity Media, the home for New York high school sports. You're watching Varsity Media, New York's high school sports network. Are you a local business looking for new and creative ways to promote your company? Varsity Media offers affordable rates that can get your message across to a demographic of 18 to 54 years of age. Our follower base across social media is 75,000 strong, and our viewership numbers per game are in the thousands. Don't blow your advertising budget on old staples like TV and radio media. Reach out to Varsity Media to get the best bang for your buck.
Back at Cold Spring Harbor, Dylan Butler, Isaac Neal, our entire Varsity Media crew here just about set for the start of half number 2. And it's Cold Spring Harbor with a 6-2 lead. Isaac, let's take a look at some of the first half stats, and you see certainly the volume of shots there for Cold Spring Harbor. They've had some man-up opportunities. They haven't been able to cash in on the extra man, though.
You know, it's one of those opportunities. You look at that time of possession. You also look at each team's ability to win a face-off or clear the ball or ride the ball back. And, you know, in Cold Spring Harbor's case, it's giving them some of those add-ons right now.
See the saves pretty close to even as well. Both goalies, we expected this coming in, high-level goalies, right? Weisenfeld for Syosset, Kamer for Cold Spring Harbor. So they've brought it. And that's another aspect too, right, Isaac? You know it from being in that Class A. Syosset just year after year, man, they churn out those goalies who just about all of them go on and play Division I lacrosse.
Always. You know, it's disheartening. I think for both of these teams, they would definitely love to have their that scoreboard reflect the amount of shots or the looks that they're getting. But like you had talked about, we anticipated a big goalie matchup, and I'm very curious to see how Syosset comes out of that halftime huddle. You know, halftime score is the most pointless score in all of sports. Are they able to string some passes together and maybe dunk a couple?
So we start the second half without the face-off because of that penalty that ended the first half. So there'll be about 25 seconds. Actually, not about, exactly. One of the cool things about Cold Spring Harbor, one of the venues that keeps that on the clock, which we appreciate from the broadcast team. So it'll be Syosset ball.
Beneficial.
Syosset ball, I guess, for broadcasters and coaches as well.
100%. It allows you to anticipate a little bit more. Like I'm sure right now, you know, Cold Spring Harbor is going to anticipate who may be getting the ball for Syosset. Syosset's definitely looking to keep the ball in some of their offensive firepower hand. And you see it right now. You know, Waxer being shut off back behind the goal.
So we'll play 5-on-4 lacrosse. That one was blocked. Turner with the attempt.
Yeah, I'd like to see them keep moving the ball. You know, these Syosset ball players have a very good sticks. I'd like to see them bang the ball a little bit more and just look for a little bit of an easier shot on a really good goalie.
Turner up top, we're even.
It's a great job by Cold Spring Harbor's man down right there.
And I'm sure in that huddle for Syosset, valuing the ball was something that was paramount, no doubt, in that conversation with Coach Calabria.
100%. You know, value the ball, make the easy looks. And again, you know, there's no two-pointers in high school lacrosse, so you've got to just do it one at a time.
Gio Accardo with 2 on the shot clock will not get the shot off. Great job, McKeon, all over him.
Yeah, you know what? That's something where these kids haven't really participated or played with the shot clock as much. It's a little bit different when the game's going full speed. You've got a defender on you. You know, the parents might be yelling it, the sideline might be yelling it, but it's different when we're live.
Sammy Bruno spins, coming out of the box, gets it off. That's Rex O'Connor, and a flag down again. Once again, an issue coming out of the box for Syosset.
Yeah, it's different sometimes. You know, you're looking to get certain personnel on. Maybe you have some guys who've only played in a couple of games, you know, including just this year. So really getting into that sub-game, it's important. We're going to get ready to see Cold Spring Harbor's 5th man up.
And Syosset now locking off Bauer up top. James Romanello doing so.
Yeah, you got the free slide right now. It looks like it's Ostringer. Opportunity where if anybody gets it and can dodge, he's got that free slide, maybe a free double, as Cold Spring Harbor looks to burn a little bit of clock here.
That's Bruno on Mallon.
You know, again, this is why I love the shot clock. You know, Cold Spring Harbor might feel a little sped up, but Syosset's going to get an opportunity to settle back down, just play that man-down defense that they've done a pretty good job with so far today.
Rex O'Connor lowered the shoulder and then lowered the shot. That one was wide, but another man-up opportunity for the Seahawks. And these are self-inflicted wounds, Isaac, right now. I mean, yes, it's only 30 seconds, but listen, there's some quality guys on that man-up team for Cold Spring Harbor. Eventually, they're going to bury one.
There are, and again, you know, we talk about this game in early April being a good barometer. You don't want your only film to be on your man-down defense, but at the same time, it's going to give guys an opportunity to figure out what that subbing and clearing and riding game is going to look like throughout the course of the season.
Bauer with the ball. He led the way in the first half with 2 goals. Testa, or Roger Testa. I have to make my say both names when I mention the Testas. And we will reset, which gives me another opportunity. So it's Roger Testa, Brady McKean, Sammy Bruno, and Dylan Riley all with a goal. So if you're Cold Spring Harbor, you like that, right? Sharing the goals as well.
Yeah, I mean, from any coach, right? You want to get as deep into your bench offensively as possible. You know, you go back to a lot of these teams when they're winning county championships or making that late run to a state championship game. It's not 1 or 2 guys, right? You have a slew or a depth of guys who are able to either get assists, pick up ground balls, get into that stat column. It's not just about scoring goals, but to spread it around is a beautiful thing for any offensive coach.
So I think we've got it set now between the game and shot clock. And they will put 9:55 on the game clock.
You know, this definitely benefits Syosset right now, being able to take a deep breath, slow down, get back into the flow of the game as they look to gain a stop.
And they'll reset the shot clock as well. There it is. Right behind the meshing.
30 seconds. And then we'll be all set to go. 30, go. All right, we're ready. Yeah, they're going to start over.
And you can see Calabria, Isaac, kind of, I think, arguing where they'll restart here.
Well, you know what matters. You know, these are 2 coaches who are definitely going to invest a lot of time into film, making sure that their boys are prepared. Where the ball starts on a man up, it matters, right? Who's on the field? what set they might be jumping in and out of. It definitely matters in terms of that preparation. That's something for Coach Calabria. He does it in Class A, game in and game out, playoff game in and game out. So he wants to make sure that this game replicates and duplicates what he's going to be doing throughout the rest of the season.
So now they'll figure out the time on the penalty, which will be 17 seconds. And we are finally, I hope, set to go.
It's one of those things going from from the scorebook and the score clock being up in the booth to down on the field. These are things that are going to happen, right? I think they should give the coaches an opportunity to bring the kids over on the side, walk through whatever, the offense is going to do, the man-up's going to do, and same with the man down.
We can see also the guys for Cold Spring Harbor, right? They're just trying to stay warm at this point, right? Bounce around a little bit.
Yeah, it's definitely not a warm summer day in April yet.
All right, we are back to lacrosse. Man up opportunity here for the Seahawks. It's Bauer. Bauer against Cawley. Strength on strength. Bruno right into the stick. That's exactly where Weisenfeld wanted it. And now here's Cawley. Cawley powers out to midfield.
It's a great stop by Josh.
Will Cawley the feed, the turnaround off the pipe by Mallon. Offside for Syosset.
No shot. That's something Coach Calabria is definitely going to have to look back at on film. I know he's not going to be. His guys are firing at all cylinders, but making sure that guys are on sides. So when they're able to capitalize on those looks, they're not called back.
Shot by Roger Testo was wide.
Penalty time's expired.
And Syosset again does the job. 5th penalty kill of this game.
Yeah, this group prides themselves on their defense. Right, their ability to get stops, their ability to play fast, play physical. They just got to kind of cut down on some of these mental mistakes in terms of the ride and in the clear.
Bauer loves this matchup, spins, feeds it, and the finish by Burns. Kevin Burns' first goal of this game extends Cold Springs Harbor's lead to 8-2. 7-2, excuse me.
It's one of those things, right? We have 8:38 left in this quarter. Cold Spring Harbor's spent most of the time on offense. So for Syosset to take a deep breath, settle down, settle in, allow Josh Weisenfeld to see the shots that he's definitely going to save, make it a little bit more challenging for this Cold Spring Harbor offense.
So you saw Bauer, right? His eyes got wide, no doubt, with the short stick matchup. Was able to dodge, feed it in front, and all Burns had to do is turn and fire. As Vitale picks up the GB, face-off win for Cold Spring Harbor. Cleary, though, trying to push him out.
That 10-second clock is still going.
And they do get it in.
If I'm Coach Bond right now, I'm liking my opportunities more in the 6-on-6 set than in a man-up set. These guys are doing a really good job of getting downhill, sharing the ball.
Number 5.
Rex O'Connor is 3 as Burns comes out of the box. Burns up top, great dodger, big, athletic, lefty, physical dodger, really a nightmare of a matchup, and that's what Turner's got to deal with right now.
Well, and this is a team that, they want to get settled. You see him setting up his dodge, making sure everybody offensively is on the same point.
Burns did everything right except for the pass to Tui's feet. But an edge there for Cold Spring Harbor, a break as it went off of Syosset.
Yeah, that's a missed opportunity for Syosset. Look at them to settle in, get a slide, try to force the ball out of someone's stick again.
Ostrager, good defense on Dylan Riley. Knockdown. I think it might have been Mallon to get a piece. And there he is.
That's a great job of just getting the next one by Syosset's defense.
We go pole to pole. Here's Ostrager.
Number 24.
And maybe finally something settled here. 6-on-6 for Syosset.
Yeah, you see it automatically, though. Cold Spring Harbor puts their pole out on Waxer, looking to shut him off. even up 5 right now. Again, for Dennis Bond, it's one of those things where this is a game you have an opportunity to work on certain things.
And there's another errant pass, trying to find Ostrager. The save by Waxer.
You know, it ended up all right, though. Waxer was being shut off. He's able to come off of that shut off, go pick up a ground ball, and, let his play do the talking a little bit right now.
He drives by Jeep Pace, takes the contact in front by Ulico, and lost it.
Ground ball for Rex O'Connor, number 3.
Rex O'Connor comes away. Now Ulico. We go pole to pole. Here's Newman with some room. The feed, the one more, the jump shot, and the save.
Weisenfeld, man, he's having a day, right? You can't always just look at the score. You look at the kind of shots that Cold Spring Harbor is able to manufacture. Josh Weisenfeld's definitely standing tall in goal right now.
It is cold and windy in Cold Spring Harbor, but it is heating up on the field. Here is Waxer. Goes by Jeep Pace, but the help comes by Newman. Ball on the carpet. It is a scrum. And these are the battles, right, that Calabria talked about. A huge hit and an extra one as well. That'll be against Waxer. As picking up the GB is Sammy Bruno. So another man-up opportunity. Listen, if this is football, maybe you decline the penalty.
Look, it's tough. Waxer definitely wasn't afraid of drawing a little bit of contact on his last 2 dodges. He's looking to keep that contact going, hoping that, whatever's not called on him is not going to get called for him either.
And Isaac, that to me was the definition of a frustrated player right there.
100%. He's looking to make a little something happen. But like I said earlier, I'm looking at Cold Spring Harbor's man-up offense. If they're not able to manufacture goals, it's not a bad position, and maybe it juices up some of the guys on the sidelines watching their, one of their leaders lay the body a little bit.
Here's McKean. So a chance to utilize some of the clock. There's 20 on the shot clock as McKean turns the corner. Feeds it back up top. Nice pass to Bauer. Bauer on Cauley. Bauer a little hezzy, the low shot, and the finish. What a move, Isaac, before the shot by Bauer to kind of lock in Cauley there. And then he got the finish for another goal.
Yeah, Bauer sat there. He said, Cauley might be the axe murderer, but I'm not made of wood. I'm going to run through that, let one go, and I'll sound like a broken record, doing a phenomenal job getting downhill, getting his hands free, and just keeping Josh Weisenfeld on his toes, and that one he was able to win.
That little hezzy that he had there made Cauley kind of lean back inside like he's going to come inside. That allowed that extra opportunity to go outside. This is an and one as well for Cold Spring Harbor because the penalty is a 1 minute against Waxer.
Yeah, they must have called the hit to the head.
It's a 1 minute cross check. So kind of an and one there for Bauer. Big face off as Vitale gets it.
It's a big body. You and I talked about it. You brought it up in early on before the broadcast. Vitale able just to use his size right there to kind of manipulate possession.
Yeah, Vitale, a football center. Wrestles as well, right? I mean, talk about a guy meant to take face-offs at Cold Spring Harbor.
He's playing the right position.
Here's Burns up top. Cold Spring Harbor off that last goal. That was a bit of a juice goal. It's Bauer up top.
Yeah, we got to make sure Weisenfeld's able to kind of shake that last one off.
Big block.
The shot by
Credit 34, Robinello now with the long pole. Officially, they say that shot was wide. Actually, Romanello's got the short stick. The feed in front, diving in for the finish. Daniel Toohey.
Yeah, it's a good handle by Toohey. Daniel Toohey's been coached by a lot of really good coaches over the last however many years, as long as he's been playing. He takes that first shot off the side of the goal, he stands in there and gets the next one on that one there.
Bauer with the pass. So 3 and 2 now for Bauer.
Number 17, Daniel Toohey.
And lo and behold, that elusive man-up goal for Cold Spring Harbor. So check that box off for Bond and his guys.
I was thinking it, you said it. That's got to be a good feeling for Coach Bond, as this is a game where you're just looking to get guys involved, make sure that some of the things that they've been practicing come to fruition on the field.
Cleary, the face-off win.
Face-off win for Cleary.
Up this near sideline comes Jeremy Mallon. Mallon has a step. Mallon, pole goal, no.
You know, that's an opportunity you definitely got to take. It feels a lot better when you make it. Otherwise, that's a long 80-yard run back to play defense.
Did you see that? Bullet. Wow, what a clear. I mean, Kamer, that was like 60 yards a dime.
He's standing tall. You know, Cold Spring Harbor's playing a lot of offense in this game. Kamer's back there waiting for his opportunity, waiting to sit on some of those shots that he also practices and trains to see as well.
Bruno up top. Now here's Burns. A lot of physicality with Burns and Cauley. That one was knocked down. Blocked by Cole Casanova.
By Kevin Burns. Ground ball for
Now Cauley's locked up, but they will call a hold. So Syosset possession.
Gives the ball back to Syosset.
Yeah, it's a great ground ball by Cauley. You know, handles the pressure.
Dean Young. We weren't sure if we'd see Dean Young today. Dealing with some wisdom tooth or teeth. I'm not sure if it's multiple or not, but it was a game time decision.
Yeah, this is one of those games he's like, I want to play.
Yeah.
Let's go play. I'm not going to stand here and be cold. I want to get a couple runs in as well.
That's it. Put the dentist on hold. Here's Turner, and if Syosset, if there was ever time to get a goal, now is that time. Slide comes towards Turner. The dodge by Accardo. Good defense by Cold Spring Harbor. And again, locking off. Why not, right? Waxer.
Yeah, he's somebody that's going to draw that slide every time. You know, you see Cold Spring Harbor's doing a good job of hedging on the dodges, doing a very good job of sliding and recovering, looking to keep their matchups.
Turn to the feed, the bouncer by Accardo wide. 7 on the shot clock.
A little bit of whip in the stick, but hey, that's one of those ones. You miss it, you get back up, and you're still playing offense.
Antonacci, they have to get one off here. Antonacci, he will not be able to. Just dumps it in the corner. Another shot clock violation against Syosset.
Yeah, you know, that's the second one Cold Spring Harbor's had. Their poles are doing a very good job of showing, using all of their length.
So now again, they will ride. It's a bit of a 10-man ride now for Syosset.
10-man ride. You know, Coach Bond talked about it in the call. They were prepared for it. Like you had mentioned, you know, they practice against it.
Final minute of play in the third quarter, 1 minute.
Fast-moving third quarter. We're inside the final minute now. It's Bruno up top. It's Cold Spring Harbor can utilize this game clock and just bring it down and get that last shot off. They don't have McGloin out there, and it's not the fourth quarter. That's how they ended it last year with a walk-off. McKean, the lefty bouncer, is wide. The backup in Burns was there.
Well, they're locking off Bauer. Bauer's going to do a good job, sprint to the end line, look to start the rest of this possession with the ball in his stick.
And now here's Bauer. That's the plus, right, Isaac? Like you back up and you get the opportunity. Now you can put the ball in your stick and not worry about the lock off.
100%. That's a good job by them, just handling that 5-on-5 situation, getting a shot to the end line, and allowing the end of this quarter to play out, you know, more in a 6-on-6 fashion.
Bruno on Cauley. Nice dodge. Here comes Cauley, bringing the heat. Flag is called, and the quarter ends. Ooh. And I think we're going to be even up now. I think Burns is getting caught at the end, and honestly, I think it's unfortunate on both sides.
I'm gonna go ahead and call that as a makeup call. You know, that first flag down, it's the FAR official making that call. I don't know if they got to let these kids play a little bit. That last one looked more of a tie-up, so I'm actually happy they're going to start this fourth quarter 5-on-5 after a call like that.
Well, Alex Bauer, you could try to lock him off if you will, but listen, he's not going to the Big Ten for no reason. Look at Bauer bringing it. The low shot, 3-2 on the day through 3 quarters for Alex Bauer and his Seahawks with a 9-2 lead heading into the fourth here on the Varsity Media Sports Network.
Hey parents, Varsity Media is now offering ISO video of just your athlete. Why settle for the wide angle that shows every player on the field? With our ISO video, your athlete is front and center the entire game. This footage will help in creating highlight videos for college coaches to better pinpoint your athlete's play on the field. Watching our video will help your athlete improve progressively throughout the season and may lead to a college scholarship. Varsity Media is now booking ISO videos for the spring, but spots are limited. Contact us today for lacrosse, baseball, softball, and tennis by calling 516-403-2050 or emailing ben@varsitymedia.net.
Design, build, and maintain your dream home. J&R Custom Landscaping has been proudly offering landscape design for over 30 years. Give them a call today, 516-250-8461. Dylan Butler, Isaac Neal, our entire Varsity Media crew. And Isaac, as you drive through the hills here at Cold Spring Harbor, there are a lot of customized landscaping, landscaped homes and gardens. No doubt J&R Custom Landscaping making their presence known here at Cold Spring Harbor.
Yeah, it's beautiful having the sponsors come in, you know, guys and girls that really care about the sport of lacrosse and just promoting this game, allowing, you know, broadcasts like ours to be shown.
So you had a 30-second penalty against Syosset. That was that initial call, and then a minute against Burns.
Yeah, they must have called that at the dead ball, you know, giving Syosset possession.
Waxer finally got himself free, and he hits the pipe. You could see the frustration in his movements, right? Like, what do I have to do?
Yeah, that's unfortunate. You know, Waxer does a good job kind of handling that double team there, getting off of it, getting his hands free, taking advantage of the situation. You know, one of the only ones he's had his hands free this entire game. Just goalie's best friend.
So now Syosset is up a man, but it's Cold Spring ball. Look at Rex O'Connor showing that, yes, I get on the track, I run around a bit, right? He's in the gym.
Well, this is something that, you know, Coach Bond, a lot of guys, I mean, even myself as a coach, might not have been prepared to handle that right away in April. Coach Bond has these guys prepared to handle that double team and then settle in, you know, for this next 20 seconds of offense on the shot clock.
Sammy Bruno up top. Bruno has a short stick in Turner. Burns whips it to Testa. In and out of the stick. Now it's a ground ball battle. Cold Spring Harbor at Manhasset did such a great job winning these, and it ends up being a shot clock violation against Cold Spring Harbor.
That's something there. Like, it's so new to the game at the high school level. You keep that ball on the ground, you're able to get possession back. You're able to just now switch it the other way and go down on offense.
Here's Mallon. Here's Accardo. It's been such a long time since Syosset has scored a goal. Accardo has one of them. Turner has the other.
Yeah, you know, there've been a few off the pipe. They've had a few opportunities, a few chances to kind of get the juice and that big momentum flying back their way. It's unfortunate they've been hitting pipes this afternoon as well.
And I want to say it was 3-2, right, for Cold Spring Harbor. And you've just had this run for the Seahawks as Turner has it. He's locked up by Ulico.
I mean, the penalties definitely don't help, right? When you start, that whistle blows and it's in the offensive stick already, then you have to fight for it.
How about the job by Ulico there? Not only dislodging the ball, right, but then just getting it off the carpet, spinning, getting himself free.
It was a very heads-up play by him, too. You know, that could have been a hold. He was able to get his stick off of him, maintain that possession, and get one back for Cold Spring Harbor, keep playing offense.
You look at another one of these multiple sport athletes.
Great ride by Syosset.
Now a chance to go quick to the left hand. Ulico again.
The check by Hunter Ulico.
Here's Waxer. Time and space.
Shot for Waxer.
Shot wide.
You say time and space. As soon as he picked that ball up, he had 3 guys on him. Right there, he's one they do not want to let get going. That was one of Dennis Bond's keys to the game.
Yeah, when you think, right, he identified, of course, Waxer, Accardo, and Turner. Turning the cage, Antonacci. And he gets the goal.
It's a great job by Syosset, right? Riding the ball back, letting the clock go, that 20-second call, and then just attacking right away, getting set and going.
He just wins his individual matchup, right, from behind the cage.
Cold Spring Harbor leads 9-3.
See Antonacci, a little swim move.
At the X, Aiden Cleary
Nice angle.
versus
Great take.
Alex
Yeah.
Pipe's not
Vitale.
stopping that one.
So for Antonacci, goal number 2. Now it's back-to-back games for goals for him as well. Got his first goal against Plain Edge last game and his first start as well.
Well, and that's really what Coach Calabria means, right? I mean, obviously you want to win every game. You don't show up to a game, preparing to lose. But at the same time, Coach Calabria knows, and his boys know, this game is won and lost, or your season really matters at the end of May. So for him, getting guys like Antonacci going, making sure he has that confidence is definitely going to help as the season progresses.
That's what these early season games are all about, right? We saw that against Manhasset and Cold Spring Harbor, both coaches identifying the same, right? Yes, of course, we want to win, but it's about getting better, and you want to play the best competition to challenge your younger guys who are maybe in elevated situations this year. And that was true in that game, and certainly true of this one as well.
Well, it's the beautiful thing about the 3 conferences.
Clear by
I feel like we finally got it right.
Dylan Riley.
Giving teams an opportunity to play against like competition, understanding that, if you're in that conference too, you have an opportunity to get some guys going. Maybe go up and beat one of the quote-unquote big dogs. But for teams like this, Cold Spring Harbor knows what goes on in Suffolk and who comes out of there for Long Island Championship, and same for Syosset.
Bouncer there by
The
Riley.
shot by Dylan Riley.
Backup was there. Great job just before that by Bruno, kind of traffic copping up top.
Well, this is the one thing, too, with the shot clock. I think Cold Spring Harbor teams of the past would have sat on the ball, maybe moved it around, killed some clock, not allowed the pace of play to be as high. Right now you see him attacking.
Roger Testa.
Cold Spring Harbor goal scored by
Another goal
number
for him, his
24,
second of the game,
Roger Testa.
10th of the season.
Gave the assist to number 5, Dylan
I
Riley.
go all the way back to the defensive end.
For Testa,
Right?
it's the second
There was
goal
an
of the game.
opportunity a couple times where
7:35
Ulico was able to
remains in
get
the
the ball
fourth
back. They give it back. Maybe they give
Syosset
one up.
lead,
But when you're
10-3.
playing with a confident defense, it's definitely going to keep your offense on point as well.
Dylan Riley picks up the assist on that
At
one.
the X,
And how about
Cleary
a heat
versus
check there on
Vitale.
Testa, right?
Hey, he's had a good amount of shots in this game, so you feel good for a kid that's able to get his hands free and maybe feel that reward a little bit of putting the ball in the back of the net.
And also, again, he's that guy that Bond is rooting heavy for 3 years, unable to step on the field, some injuries, worked his butt off to rehab, and now as a senior able to step on the field and have an impact as well.
Yeah, you need those senior leaders, right? Especially if you want to make a deep run in the playoffs. You need guys who maybe he hasn't been through it, but he's been
Loose
there,
ball
right?
push.
He's able to kind of bring some
Gives
of
the
those
ball
younger
to the
guys,
Seahawks.
including his brother, along with him.
Loose ball push, Cold Spring Harbor ball. It's Testa to Testa.
the shot by Roy Testa. Syosset ball.
No backup, so Syosset comes away with it.
It's a great job by Ostranger. Regardless of the score, he understands. He's played a lot of lacrosse as well. He understands that this is a long season. Making those run-out plays keeps that juice going, maybe allows them to walk out of this game feeling confident about the way that they've played.
Danny Desquie gets it back to Weisenfeld, and this is the ride for Cold Spring Harbor.
Ground ball for
It is aggressive,
Daniel
it is in
Desquie,
your
number
face,
21.
and it forces you as a coach sometimes to do just what Calabria did and call a timeout.
Yeah, it's good. That's a great timeout by Coach Calabria. Some coaches might not bail a kid out in that fashion, but at the end of the day, again, you want to walk out of this game with some positives as well.
And Isaac, we take a look at the upcoming schedule for Syosset. You are home for Bethpage, and then another fun one we have in the Varsity Media Sports Network, right? You go to Manhasset. Listen, it's spring break week, right? So you can play that 11 o'clock game at Manhasset. Then that annual game they have against Kellenberg as well. And then you go to Farmingdale, right? And that is a team that won the county championship back-to-back years. And now you kind of get into the meat and potatoes of your league schedule at that point. And then for Cold Spring Harbor, up next for the Seahawks. That'll be a fun one, huh? Here against Massapequa under the lights. And then I love what Bond does here as well. And Isaac, I'm sure as a former high school coach, you love this as well, right? He replicates what it's like to go on the road for the state championship, right? And it is on the road this year. So he goes to Rye, he goes to Yorktown. Those games are separated by 2 days, similar to what you're going to get in June, right? When you take that road trip, what they hope will be the road trip up to for the state championships.
Yeah, number one, definitely looking forward to calling that Cold Spring Harbor-Wantagh game. That's going to be a great Conference C matchup. But for both of these coaches, when you look at those schedules for upcoming games, the goal is win your conference, right? So making that lead up as hard as it can possibly be, learn a lot about yourself. Maybe, again, go deep into that bench, get some guys going, playing at a high level. For Cold Spring Harbor, you have to figure out that man up. For Syosset, figuring out the clearing game, so they're ready to go come conference.
Waxer to Turner, the bouncer is wide.
It's a great play. It's a great play by Coach Austin coming out of the timeout. Again, just getting guys playing.
And you mentioned it before, the new offensive coordinator has come up through this system, but a great college player in his day, played professionally as well for the Lizards. Waxer lost it. It looked like it was kind of between decisions there.
Yeah, he wants to get one, but he wants to get one for his team as well.
Bruno and the GB picked up by Sam Davis.
So here's that chess match by both coaches, right? Timeout goes. Coach Calabria has a great play called up. Bond picks one up. Timeout right away. Looking to move a couple pieces around.
So timeout for Cold Spring Harbor. We mentioned before we'll have a college game, but kind of as we do, I'm sure you do it as well. Off air, we talked about Henry Haberman at Loyola, one of your former players. So here's a look at some of the alums, right, for Cold Spring Harbor and where they're playing their college ball.
Yeah, all guys I've had to coach against, fortunately for them and unfortunately for me. But again, Coach Bond, he makes sure that these guys go through it. They understand what they need to do to play at that next level and represent Cold Spring Harbor, in all forms and fashions.
We mentioned Phelan and Pisano now on opposite sides in the Ivy League. 2 former All-Americans. CJ Riley, we said before, playing second midfield at Michigan. Garassi over at Pace, and then O'Grady.
Can't forget the Dutchman, right?
Listen,
Kyle O'Grady keeping it
100%.
close to home. Can't forget the Dutchman.
We put him in just for you. Let's take a look at the Syosset guys as well, and these are the current commit. Well, here we go. It's a few Accardos, right, at High Point. Luca, Nick at Stevens Tech, Montfort at Hopkins, Jason Singer still up at Cornell, and Danny Garone at Binghamton.
Yeah, both of these schools do a phenomenal job in terms of supporting and promoting their student athletes, right? Where these kids go really matters to them, but it also matters to the school and the community. So, kudos to all these kids that are taking that next high academic level and opportunity to play athletics and participate in athletics as well.
And next year when we do a Syosset game, we'll have David Disque as one of those 5 as well, because he'll be at Hopkins, a program that's really kind of getting back. Right? Not that they were down, but they weren't what Hopkins was.
Yeah, Coach Milliman's doing a good job. Coach Jameson Kester, a phenomenal job as well. He's really a player's coach. He's going to bring in guys that want to just live, die, and breathe for him and for the program.
And it's so much fun to see the Long Island guys all over the place, right? I watched leading up to this game, I watched the replay of Notre Dame and Syracuse, and so many Long Island guys, part of both teams, whether it's the Kavanaughs or Spolino or Michael Leo going low. Nice save by Weisenfeld on that shot by Bauer.
Shot by Bauer.
When you talk about those guys playing in college, it's a huge testament to the level of coaching that exists on Nassau County. Right, the parent support, the community support, and then these kids are able to get everything out of those coaches and that support.
Bauer against Cawley up top. And honestly, that's kind of a win, I think, for Cold Spring Harbor, because if you can get Cawley that far away from your own goal, Bauer, a great feeder in his own right.
Yeah, you don't want him to get another one, right? You want an opportunity to mix it up a little bit, create a turnover, get the ball on the carpet. Looks like Syosset might be in a little bit of a zone as well, looking to take out whatever Coach Bond drew up in the huddle.
The skip to Bruno and the finish. Listen, we do talk about Bruno around here. What a goal.
It's a great shot, great change of level. Put it off Josh Weisenfeld's off-stick hip. on the bounce shot. Looks like there's going to be a goalie change right now just to maintain some of that poise. But look, Bruno gets his hands free, lets one go. That's one, if it misses, they're going to have backup, and if it goes in, we're facing off.
So an opportunity for George Ladd, the 8th grader, in the cage for Syosset.
Look, it's one of those unwritten rules, right? You have an 8th grader on varsity. You want to see him play. I know for Josh, knowing him personally, he's going to take that a little bit personal. But at the end of the day, he's a kid that's going to be locked in for that Bethpage game, and ready to shake this one off.
And if you are George Ladd, what do you want to do, right? You want to make that first save.
You want to make that first save. You want to talk to the guys in front of you. You got Cauley standing in front of you right now. You want to make sure that you're able to command him a little bit. All-stringer as well. Get a slide and make sure that you're prepared.
Timeout for Cold Spring Harbor.
So you're probably going to see Dennis Bond kind of do some of the same things. Look to go a little bit deeper into his bench. Look to extend some of these guys' playing times, get him a few touches.
Seahawks take their second and final timeout.
Well, now's a great time to book a Varsity Media Sportscast. Our professional announcers, like Isaac Neal here to my right, bring the stories of your athletes to life, highlighting their accomplishments and the hard work behind every game. With Varsity Media Sportscast, you can keep fans, family, and alumni connected, even when they are far away. It's a perfect way to showcase your athletes and create lasting memories for everyone involved. Reach out now to book a sportscast. Call 516-403-2050 or email ben@varsitymedia.net. Look at the Cold Spring Harbor huddle. And for Dennis Bond, certainly a lot of players back. He says the numbers aren't what he's used to, which is, it's weird to say, right? You still have 31 in your varsity and you're a Class D school, but he says what we do have is depth, right? We have depth in the midfield. We can run 7 different kids. What's unique a little bit to this year, Isaac, is the depth on the defensive end where, you've got like 3 different guys at long stick midi. You've got 4 or 5 different guys at close D that you can run out. So you can mix a lot of guys into there.
And you're going to have to. Even when you go back to that spring break schedule, playing, 2 games in 3 days, and as Coach Bond knows it very well, in the playoffs, you might get a day or 2 to prepare. You've got to make sure that you can put a guy in at a moment's notice, and they're locked into the system.
And I think great job, too, by Bond, right? Utilize that timeout to bring on some new personnel as well.
Yeah, these guys practice, too. Gives them an opportunity to play, maybe see something on film that, gives the guy an opportunity to mix in with those 1s and 2s.
So that's Mac Baxter, 23. 17 is Tui, kind of among this group. He's the leader, right? There you go.
Tui can play.
How about Ladd, huh? First shot, first save.
You talked about it, right? You gave him that non-goalie jinx, allowing him to see that first shot and then be active in the clear right now. Great job by Syosset.
Good job by the 8th grader. And listen, you know better than most what it's like. Oh my goodness, another penalty for Syosset. But you put an 8th grader in there, right? You kind of know what you're going to deal with, right? The good and the bad.
Yeah, it's one of those things. You have maybe some guys playing or participating that might not normally be on the field. But again, it's something that's going to get cleaned up. Coach Calabria understands how to get the best and most out of his players. So they'll look at it on the film and they'll look to move on to the next game. It actually looks like they picked up that flag.
That was Noah Birch. Out to midfield, Matt Acevedo.
The ground ball for Acevedo.
Harassed by Andrew Iannonu. Here's Turner. Work up top. Bouncer by Birch.
Noah Birch, number 7.
So 3 on the shot clock.
Yeah, Syosset getting that early sub, getting ready to ride.
And a little hitch move, but unable to get that shot off with Josh Chung.
Well, that's where, too, you had talked about it, right? both teams making sure that their bench guys are ready to rock. Good job by Cold Spring Harbor just kind of locking in. But again, a good job with Syosset on this side of the ball, making that first save, getting that first clear, and kind of keeping the game going north-south.
Trying to mention as many of these guys as we can. That's Rob Lund on the ball, 33.
Glad to see Rob Lund playing. He's a kid I used to coach back in the day. Kid works really hard at his craft.
Tui. It's a ground ball battle. Dario Zimbalati, 27 for Syosset, was battling for it. It stays with Cold Spring Harbor and Tui.
Well, it's got to be hard to come in right now, too, right? As you had mentioned, it's not a warm day by any means. So coming in a little cold in the fourth quarter, looking to make the most of your opportunity.
Aaron pass. Chasing it down, and it just goes out of bounds. That was Ryan Chan, 8, was looking for it. Zimbalati back to Ladd. Listen, he looks confident, the 8th grader. Nice pass to Chan. Chan dispossessed. Great stick work by Sam Davis. And now Davis has room to move. Davis, the feed and the finish by Tui.
It's a great shot by Tui. Good job getting the ball up off the carpet. Way to share the ball. He looked like he was thinking about letting one go. Had Coach Bond definitely in the front, back, and sides of his head saying, make sure you pass that ball. But a good job by Cold Spring Harbor sharing the ball.
Oh, what Davis does do is get himself his first assist of the year. Tui, his 2nd goal, 3rd of the season. Listen, he's a guy, didn't see a lot of minutes last year, right? Played well early season against Mepham. Bond is, as you know, right, the old school guy. So he says some of Tui's flashy he doesn't like too much, but likes that finish, no doubt.
100%. Very fundamentally sound.
And one more flag. Going in is Matt Brzuzzi. There you see it. Looks like that'll be a 30-second push. So Syosset, one more opportunity with the man up. Azevedo will put it back into play. So Syosset, listen, as you said, right, like you get better for these games. It's a young team still trying to figure out themselves.
Yeah, and every coach has been there, right? I mean, you want it to happen a little bit earlier in the season, and thankfully it is early in the season, right? For Conference A games, Conference A matters. For Conference D, those conference game matters. So, how you do in a game and then what you do and how you respond after, that's definitely the most important part of either a win or a loss.
A rugby scrum here for the final 10 seconds of this one. Who comes away with it? It is Syosset, sent down the field, and a bouncer right in front of Kamer's cage as Cold Spring Harbor will celebrate this one. They now have a 17-10 edge all time in this series, but this one of those rare non-one-goal games. From really the first quarter, a midpoint of the first quarter, Cold Spring Harbor took control of this game, and they never let it go.
Yeah, they did a good job in pretty much all aspects of the game, right? Some good saves. They did a good job of speeding up Syosset's offense. They cleared the ball pretty well. But at the end of the day, from top to bottom, Cold Spring Harbor did a very good job of just maintaining some poise and possession throughout the game.
So Cold Spring Harbor, they improve now to 4-1 on the season. Kamer early with a big save. He was dialed in throughout. And so is his defense as well, right? First, there you see Bauer lowering the shoulder and bringing the pain. Bauer, a big game for the day. 3 and 2 for him. as Cold Spring Harbor comes away with the victory. For our entire Varsity Media crew, our executive producer Ben Turchin, technical director Chris Sweeney, for Tony DeMasso and Kevin Catalanato bringing you all those great moving images. For my broadcast partner Isaac Neal, Dylan Butler, thanking you for joining us from Cold Spring Harbor. We look forward to seeing you next time right here on the Varsity Media Sports Network.